Hold on, it's populating. And we are live.
I'm looking at your beautiful video with your face.
What? That's funny. You're being funny, aren't you, Nikki? I see what you're doing. But refresh it, Nikki, so you should see it at this point. I'm just waiting for Nikki to join live. 1 second. You see it, Nikki? Hi, everybody. Announce yourself once you come in. I'm just waiting on Nikki to come back and join me. Nikki, are you there? Okay, hold on. She'll be joining. 1 sec. So I have something very special tonight. And I'm having Nikki join. Nikki there? Okay, good.
Yes.
I see it on the page, Nikki. Did you?
Yeah, I shared it. I just had to come off of this one real quick.
What you mean?
Didn't you say to share the live, I have to come off and share it on my page? That's what I just did. That's why I was gone.
Oh, it booted you off? Okay, technology. It's okay. It's all right. We're here now. Okay. So we are live. Hey, Siobhan. Siobhan said, hey, Nikki. So I'm looking at the comments right here on the side.
I can't see that. Only you, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes, okay. You shared it. So what I'll do is I'll read them. I'll read the comments because it's
Hey, Siobhan.
Yeah, and then you can go with your thing. So here we go. Da, 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 da. Nikki. Yes. So Nikki, I'm live with Nikki, and we're going to discuss some things. I'm bringing you guys in on some things, and you're not just hearing it from me, you're hearing it from somebody else who kind of went through the process. So let me give you a backdrop really quick. So Nikki and I met years ago. I don't even recall how many years, but we met through online business, and we've been connected obviously since we met, but because of life and all of stuff that happened and transition, we reconnected after I came out of my wilderness experience from healing. And since then, Nikki kind of jumped on board with juicing. And so me and Nikki, pretty much we've been connected for years, and we reconnected on a whole different level. And I'm excited to be on this journey, or even on her journey with her. So Nikki started juicing when I first came up. It was in February, I think. That was the first my 5th time around, and she started that round, and now she's on this 2nd round with me. So we're here to talk about that.
5th time around, Misty. Yes.
6. Yes, 6. And so now I want to bring you guys in on somebody else's experience, and hearing it from somebody else, and can't wait to bring other women before you. But Nikki started. So first of all, let me just say this disclaimer, and I always say this: my program is strictly, solely focused on cleansing. Most people come and they want to lose weight, or they want to do this, or have different goals, and that's cool. But because all of those things will happen, but the first objective is to cleanse, to heal. So Nikki came on board, and her starting weight, Nikki, I don't know if you want to share your starting from the end
tell them.
time. Huh?
You could tell them.
Say it again.
You want me to tell them, or you gonna?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I started at 207, and before I even get into that, I want to talk about the reason why I started this, y'all. I seen Misty again. We've always been in contact for years, but I saw her one day, and I saw the glow on her face, and I always tell this story. I'm like, I need that. Like when I saw her, I haven't seen her in years. It's like she disappeared and came back, and she was just glowing. And I have a picture on my phone. I even screenshotted it because I'm like, my face better look like that. Like that's the goal. So I was like, Misty, I contacted her, and I'm like, she's like, it couldn't be perfect timing. I'm about to go live and talk about where I've been. So we've been connected ever since that moment. But you guys, when it was just something I saw in her face. I just knew she was doing different. She was just doing something different, and I had to be a part of it. And I've been a part of it since. So we
appreciate that. That's what's up. That's what's up. And so with the whole, the benefits of juicing, a lot of what we talk about, and everybody's story is different. But what I appreciate about Nikki is Nikki's somebody who she don't play. Like if she says she's gonna do it, she's gonna do it. And she started at 207. And Nikki didn't necessarily come with any health ailments. She already knew in her mind.
Just a lot of weight.
Yep.
That was enough.
Yeah, she wanted to drop weight and she wanted to prevent whatever she could, to not run into any health crisis. Thank you guys for joining live, and please feel free to ask us questions along the way because we want to be able to answer those questions for you. But anyway, after the first go around, Nikki she started at 207. And as of, was it 2 weeks ago, Nikki, you weighed, right? 2 weeks
No, we
ago?
just weighed in Monday.
Monday. Yep, you're right. Monday. And as of Monday, she is currently 174, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? Okay, cool. So 174. Yes. So for her to drop almost 30 pounds in a matter of from when we first connected, and when I tell you, she was one that constantly asked questions. She's that's constantly, wanting to know more, do better. What can I do different? What's up for this week? And she just applied everything that we talked about, focusing on the juices that are highly detoxifying, and then just trying to reach her goals. So as a result of this whole journey, I thought it'd be good to share her story. And I want to say that this is part one. Okay, because what we're going to do, this is Nikki's second time around the cleansing process with me. And this is part one, just to answer some preliminary questions. Then we're going to hop on again for part two midweek next week, because her and I will be done with this cleansing portion this time around the following week. So we'll be able to share where she is in the middle, what she's experiencing, because we're both on all liquids at the moment, doing a juice feast. I had my water all day today. If y'all missed my live, I was talking about today was just, all water. But anyway, so Nikki, so let's dive into just some preliminary questions, some of which that you've, been asked by people as well as me, and I'll follow your lead when it comes to that. I just wanted to give them a backdrop as to where we were, where we are, and then where we're looking to go. So again, we'll have 3 parts to this. We'll follow back up with you guys next week, and then we'll have our ending results next Monday, which would be, I don't know, what is that? Monday, not this Monday, next Monday. But anyway, that'll be part 3. So Nikki, go ahead, drum roll. What you got? What's on your way? What's on that? Oh, yeah.
What I got for you. Okay.
All right.
So really, it's a lot of questions, because I always have a bunch of questions with you, but I really want you to tell them about like where you started with this whole juicer thing. Like, how did you come up with the juicer? How did that come about? Did you even own a juicer prior to making your own? Like, how did that happen?
So that's a good question. So what happened was, when I was healing, I really wasn't looking to manufacture a juicer. That's number one. Hey, Daphne Queen. Daphne. How did those grilled vegetables taste last night, girl?
We stronger together, Daphne.
Yes. I zoomed in on that picture and I'm like, girl, all those vegetables look so good. Anyway, so how I started. So I started because I wasn't looking to manufacture a juicer at all, because I went through this whole healing journey myself, became a certified juice therapist, not really looking to make anything of that. I really did it because I wanted to educate myself. I wanted to be able to, equip myself with the right tools, educate myself. And then as a result of that information became powerful. I started implementing, and then I'm like, I must, and I see this in my future because of a lot of business consulting that I did, and a lot of women that were facing the same thing, and how this really put a pause in my life. So I started juicing, and then I bought 3.
Oh, Misty, when did you start juicing? Was that in between your sickness or before or after? When did you initially start like the juicing process?
It was over 2 years ago. So it was in the middle of me healing. So I started the healing crisis, or this healing battle, I should say. It started in 2016. Then I thought I was doing all the right things. I was following a low carb, anti-inflammatory diet, paleo diet, every diet you want to call. I literally was following every single.
So you were still eating meat when you started juicing. You were eating meat.
No. The diet started in 2016, and then moving along, I still wasn't feeling well. Then that's when I became going through my courses and certification, and really understanding the human anatomy, herbology, understanding what meat protein really does to the body and how it prohibits us from healing and works our pancreas even harder. And so all this stuff, and the light bulb came on, and that at that point it's been over 2 years now that I stopped cutting out meat. Not at the beginning of my healing crisis. I really just followed the low carb diet, and I cut out carbs, sugar, and all that stuff. It wasn't until I still was feeling awful and was doing all that I was doing, but nothing was really happening, that I said that was it. So I stopped meat about 2 years ago, all animal products for that matter. And then I went into this whole thing and I bought four or five different juicers. I finally came across one that I liked. So what happened was, the juicer that I initially started with was a citrofrugal juicer. And gosh darn it, I didn't go get I wanted to show you guys what the difference between the two is, and I'll run and get it, but just give me a second. I started with the citrofrugal juicer, and that's the one with the blade and it spins. And then by the time I went to my third one, I was like, the first one was like a little under $100. The second one was like a little over $100. And then the third one was a little over 200. But then by the time I got to that third one, my pulp was real wet. And at that time I was like, I don't understand. I'm not going to buy the same type juicer. Let me go ahead and look. Because at the time I knew slow press was a little bit more, but really didn't do my homework or research. But then when I looked it up and looked into it, I went to the slow press. I was sold. Slow press is where it's at. So then I loved it so much, I contacted the manufacturer and the company, and I'm like, hey, I'm, looking to promote this because, right now I'm, healing, and I want to be able to tell my people of what I'm using and what, what works for me. And they said, well, I wanted an affiliate link, right? Because everything I do online, I'm an affiliate of things that I'm a part of, because that's how I create additional streams of income for me. Well, they said, they didn't have one. And I'm like, oh, you don't? And they're like, no, but you can send them this code. And I'm like, okay, in my mind, I like your product. I'm saying I want to be able to help promote your product, but you're telling me to give them this code that's going to help them save some money, and it's going to help you bring some money in. But what it's doing for me, you know what I'm saying?
Free promo.
Right. So I was like, nah. It was during that moment I said, thank you. Then I went, boom, light bulb came on in my head. And I'm like, did my research, and I'm on a computer and we're doing my research. I'm like, why don't I just manufacture my own? Been through this process before. I understand how manufacturing companies work, but I've never been on this side of the field with, this type of physical product. So as a result of that, I did my homework. I ordered parts, and then from parts it led into the sample. From samples led into other samples. And then at that point, that's how I ended up, doing manufacturing a juicer. It had nothing to do, I promise you, when I was healing and or wanting to bring people in on the journey of this fabulous life of juicing, I did not have this in mind to really manufacture a juicer. It was really because of that situation. And as a result of that, that's when I was like, no, I get it. I can build a model. I can show people the fundamentals of juicing, why this juicer, why fruits, why vegetables, what they do to the body. And then from there, that's the rest.
And I remember all these people were commenting on your post, what juicer do you use? You didn't say nothing for months. We were like, what juicer does she use? And then you finally came out and said it. But before you were buying all those other juicers, you were just testing them out. Why were you going through them? Because you didn't have the idea yet that you wanted to make your own. You were just buying different ones to see.
Well, I only bought more because my pulp was wet. Like my pulp,
okay.
Because when I went to the grocery store, right? And here's the myth: like juicing is expensive and it takes a lot of time. Oh my gosh, I want to debunk that because it's not the case. However, when I went to the store and I come home and I have a table full of produce, but then by the time I juice, I'm only having 5 or 6 bottles. I'm like, that's a lot of produce to only get this much juice. And from there, that's when I looked and things started clicking. I'm like, well, my produce is wet. Maybe that's, that gotta be it. And then from there, again, you gotta understand, this is over 2 years ago. I'm on a learning curve myself, trying to figure all this stuff out. And then that's when I really just went to cold press, because I understand the fundamentals of it and how it works and how you get more juice. And that's really how I ended up purchasing all of those, because my pulp was coming out wet, and then it just wasn't yielding a lot of fruit. And I really felt like I was wasting money.
And is the speed really a difference between the two? It's like a noticeable one is really faster than the other?
Yes, it's very different. So the difference is the speed, and it's different for two different things. So this is important because when it speeds that citrofrugal, what happens is sometimes the heat, it heats up because it's speed, because it's blaze, right? And so you have this little round component inside the juicer and it just spins and it heats up. Well, when it heats up, you're killing some nutrients from the fruits and vegetables, from the produce, right? Same way when we overcook food, you're losing some nutrients because you're like killing all the nutrients from the heat. That's the downfall to a citrofrugal one. Number one, a cold press is literally like an auger, like it twists. Hold on, Nikki, give me 1 second, y'all. I want to show y'all because at least if I can show you guys can see. 1 second.
Hey y'all, I can't see y'all, but hey, Daphne, Siobhan.
Okay. Sorry, I had
And Misty, you have your old juicer, right?
Huh?
You have some of your old juicers, right?
My old juicers. My old
Not
juicers?
yours, but some of the ones you tested. You have the centrifugal. Well, you have a.
Well, this is one right here. That's why I went to go get. I don't use them. I still have it. Yeah.
But you know what you need to do? It just came to my head. One day you need to, because I'm assuming now, I've only used the cold press, but I want to see how the juice looks from both juices. Do you think it would look different?
I do. Yeah, I do have it. I actually have a video on that.
So it does come out different.
It comes out different. Not only that, it doesn't yield as much juice. Yeah, even the color is different. And so when people like comment or slide up on my story or comment on my post and they ask me, your juices look so colorful or they look so smooth. Mine is, has a lot of pulp. All of these things play a role in juicing. So let me just show you. So this is a citrofrugal, right? And this is what it looks like, right? So this is like the bowl. And it spins like this, like literally it spins. When you turn this on, see, it has the little clamps and it spins like a motor, like it spins around. So it literally is doing this. And these little things at the bottom, these are blades down here, right? So when you put the produce in, it spins. So it's like chopping it up and then it comes out. Does that make sense? So that it comes out. This thing spins, right? And you're chopping the fruit up. And this is a citrofrugal. This is the fast one. Then when you put it in, it's like, because it's, you put it in, it's chopping everything up. This is a cold press, right? So I just pulled mine out. Here's the bowl. This is an auger. So you put the fruit in here and it's twisting. See? And it's cold pressed because there's no heat that's really activating in this. There's no heat, right? This is heat. The motor heats this up and then it gets this warm and that's what happens. So that's the difference between the two. I hope that answers your question, Nikki. I don't want to spend too much time, but every time I come on here and talk about the two, I never have that part to show. And I always wanted to show that's the citrofrugal one. And then the slow press is the one that really twists like you're twisting a towel. So that's the backstory on why I really produced a juicer, short version. So
I love it. I love it. And you're doing your thing with your juicer. And a lot of people I see in your stories and on all your lives and stuff, like a lot of people always comment about the pulp. So can you talk about the pulp and what's the difference between your juicer and the one you just showed us as far as pulp goes?
I actually have a picture of not just mine, but other people that even started in our group. They have they showed a picture of a bag of their pulp using a citrofrugal. I mean, the pulp is just what it is. Like this thing right here just screws to the point. It screws until it really gets the pulp really dry. That's the best thing I can say. It really just goes down and it acts like a screw, like you screw in the towel, and see that when the fruit catches up top, it goes down and it squeezes all the way right here into the filter. So
and your pulp is so dry that you can use it for other things like baking, but with the wet one, you can't use that. That's pretty much done once it's
what. I mean, you can still use it in other recipes. You can. I mean, but for the purpose of juicing, it's just drying everything out, and that's what you want. You want a dry pulp because dry pulp means you have more juice, you have more stuff from there. So that's how that happens. So long story short, Nikki, that's how my juicer. Yeah. So
that's good.
for sure. What's the other? You asked me something else. It was about the
The
help me. You
poll
wrote it
and
down. Mm-mm.
just now or
No.
earlier?
Yeah, we were
Because I
talking
wanted
about.
you to talk about the juicing as far as taking time and expensiveness, because I know you talked about that briefly, but
Yeah.
I
So
know.
I just did so this morning, right? I'm on all water, but I needed some lemons. And this thought came to mind. And I have other tutorial videos where we talk about this, but people, if we just can get past the myth of it's expensive, number one, and it takes a lot of time. Well, let's talk about the expensive part. Okay. It's really not expensive. If you look at a bag of oranges and what you spend, you would spend that same amount that you would spend at the grocery store for your little gallon of whatever you're going to buy. Okay, that's number one. I priced that out. Then the other thing is the time. The time it takes this morning, like because I needed some lemons, I did 2 bags of lemons, gave me 32 ounces. It gets to the point where you're going to know when you're an avid juicer how much produce you need to be able to produce a 32, a 16 ounce, whatever. It took me 10 minutes to juice 2 bags. Now, all I did is what I'll show you guys in the group. I cut it. I don't peel citrus fruits. I use a sharp knife. I cut it in circles, then I cut it in half. I throw it all in the machine. When it's filled to the top, I turn it on. Literally 10 minutes. 10 minutes. And I'm talking from the start of peeling to the point of all the juice lifting the flap to go into the mason jar. It doesn't take long. Think about this for a minute. If you're preparing a meal, if you really look at the time that you're spending preparing a meal, I don't care if it's spaghetti, lasagna, whatever your favorite course, 5 course, whatever it is. If you look at the time that you use to prepare that meal, you're talking a fraction of the time that you would use when it comes to juicing. So that is not true. I think the reality, I know the reality is it's a learning curve for most people. It's a learning curve. And I know I do that a lot, Nikki, like, because I watch my words. Because our words are powerful. And I don't think it's a learning curve. I know it is because once you do it, it just becomes second nature to you. Like you would know it. Like even showing family members and my mom, I love her so much. I was with her over the weekend and she was cutting the watermelon and she was cutting it the traditional way. You know how you cut the watermelon in half and you have it like this and you go to eat it? Well, she cut it like that to juice it. I'm like, Mom, I told you you don't like you eat it, you cut it like you're ready to juice it. And here's why. So I explained it. She's like, I know, because she wanted to eat some too. But the whole point is by the time I cut it up for her, it was so fast. And she's like, Misty, you do so fast. Be careful. I don't want you to cut yourself. I'm like, Mom, I got this.
Oh
It's
yeah,
good.
you fast. You Sharpie with the knife.
Well, it's just a matter of when you get used to it, it's like it's the same thing with anything else we do. It's a learning curve at first, but then once you get used to it, you just keep preparing. You just keep preparing it. But anyway, that's the myth that I want to debunk, and that is it's expensive. I mean, is it a little bit more? Maybe, considering, where you're buying your produce and all of that. And then it takes a lot of time. It doesn't. 4 parts come in my juicer that we clean. 4 parts. When you clean it, when you're done with it. And think about the time it takes you to make one meal. You probably have leftovers for the next day. When I juice, I have meals for 3 days. 3. Okay. And it's just like meal prep. So it's the same amount of time with that. So no, I don't like that. I don't like
And when it comes to as far as the time goes, I was spending a lot of time because I was simply just using the wrong knife. So there's a lot of things that you may be doing to slow you down that you're doing and you don't realize. I was using a
it.
regular knife, and
Yep.
I seen Misty pull out this butcher knife. I'm like, oh,
I
that's
do
why.
it all night. Yeah.
That's why it took me 3.5 hours. So there's little things you're probably doing that you're unaware of that makes it more. And oh, Missy, tell them what you said too about you normally don't juice the same day you go to the store either. So you make sure tell them how you said that you feel like you're in a good mood and you want to connect with your juices when you do it. So
Yeah. So I go to the store twice a week. Twice a week, and that's midweek, and then either Saturday or Sunday. So I go Wednesday, Thursday, or Saturday or Sunday, and I juice for those 3 days ahead of me. And 2 things: I never go to store the same day I juice, okay? Because y'all, especially us women, we go grocery shopping. Could be men too. When you go do all that grocery shopping, you don't feel like coming home preparing and doing, food. So I want to make sure I'm mentally prepared. And to be mentally prepared for me is to make sure that I'm not exhausted or worn out. Like I was telling my sister this the other day, or was it for her friend? I think it was a friend. And I was saying like, don't juice when you're tired, when you're frustrated, because then it feels like a weighty task. You want to juice where you can really connect. Like I connect and I bond with my food that I'm literally getting ready to put in my body. It's like life to me, right? So I'm looking at living food before me, and I connect with these foods because it really just puts me at a place of gratitude. And when I'm at that place of gratitude, then I'm really ready to receive. And it's just, I don't want to be irritated. You know how we you can be irritated when you cooking something like, I don't feel like doing this. And you just, I don't want that energy. So I plan it out. And so when I plan it out, it just gets to the point where I love it, where it's a matter of connecting with the whole process.
And Misty, tell them, they may not believe you, but tell them how long you in the store when you go shopping for these fruits.
Oh, I know exactly what I'm going to get. I mean, there's sometimes it probably shock you. Sometimes I'm even at the store if I'm going midweek or it's right after I go to the gym. I literally know exactly what I'm going to get, and then I'm out. When we make things complicated when we try to, like, do all this extra fancy stuff. So Nikki and I were talking, and we were talking about recipes and different recipes, and everybody that has joined my program could even tell you, even before my program launched, they were asking for recipes and recipes. And what did I say, Nikki? The one word was, and I know Siobhan probably knows this, and Daphne, I say, keep it simple. Just keep it simple. Because the moment you go into trying to get the greens and this and the mint and the ginger and the root, and by the time you get home and you're organizing all this, and then it's like, well, what do I do? It's just too complicated. And we don't have to overcomplicate the process. All we have to do is keep things simple, to the point of when it's time to juice everything separately. When you juice everything separately, mix it together according to your palate. And then from there, then you need to learn how to do the greens, because you can't do the greens separately. You want to do the greens with maybe some apples or some celery or some high watery yielding fruits. And it's a process to it. But once you understand the process, girl, it's good as gold. You will be able to just boom, boom, boom. So that's what I would say. I'm not in there long, but sometimes if I may have to pick up stuff from the family, it may be. But for the most part, I'm in the grocery store not even 10 minutes, sometimes maybe 15 if I'm getting extra stuff. But yeah, that's it. Keep it simple.
And you don't ever run out. You don't wait until you're completely out to go to the store, right?
I don't, because the hard melons, I keep, like the melons. And then especially if you really looking to, for them to ripen a little bit, or if I get them and I know I'm not juicing for a while, or if I'm going to get something for the kiddos, or not kiddos, adult children, but it's still a habit for me. If I'm going to grab it, I still get extra stuff, because I never want to be without anything. Like, and that kind of cuts down. Even if I don't have nothing, at least I'll have citrus fruits, or at least I'll have, my apple and spinach, which is a pillar. So you just want to make sure you always have something. And Nikki, I'm sure, like, you're asking me these questions just for the sake of them knowing this. You're asking because you also start applying this stuff, and you notice that when you applied it, this is what happened. And Nikki, I love what you also said too. And you said, remember when you guys kept asking me questions, and I said, wait, you'll have that answer.
Always.
That's important, because it's not just about my story. Like, for me, it's about authentically awakening those that I come in contact with to figure out what works best for you. And so the moment I get and talk about what I'm going through or what I experienced, and although I do that, I do it, but at the same time, we want to make sure that I want you to experience that, because I don't want to inundate you or anybody else within the group on stuff that's non-serving for you, because you may not go through it. Siobhan said, I decide what juices I'm going to make and then get those fruits and produce only. Cut down on time in the store. Keep it simple. Yes. So if I can have.
But Misty, I was guilty of that. Like, waiting for you to tell us, like, exactly what to do. Like, it kind of gets like in a bad habit of us just leaning on you instead of doing the work.
Yeah, no.
So,
but guess what? I'm glad that you brought that out, because see, this is why most people, when they follow those that that are helping them, that's their mentor, their coach, whatever, honestly, I didn't even call myself a coach. Okay. It was y'all the one saying, I'm just Misty, right? I just like helping people and showing the way. So when people do that, or Siobhan be like, coach, I'm like, coach, okay, well, be it unto you, whatever I am to you. I'm cool with that. But that's the problem that most people experience when it comes to following someone else's lead, because they put everything on that person as if that person is not infallible. Like, no one is perfect, right? And so for me, what keeps me at a place of making sure that I can give my best to those that I'm helping is making sure that I'm also that same way with my coaches. Okay. Actually, guess what? My coach guess what? She just emailed me today, and I gotta read this because this is really just impromptu, and I gotta read. She said, talk about being coachable, right? This is what she emailed me. She said, make your appointments for me for June, July, August, and September. She said, let's get those calls on the calendar. Always a pleasure to talk to you and coach you. Thanks for being so coachable, Misty. Such a joy to see you progress on this exciting journey. Like
Wow.
me, like that's something right there that I want to remain coachable. And to hear my coach tell me I'm coachable, like I'm doing good. I'm doing a really good job. Okay? Because there are times where I'm challenged, and the question is, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you? And I'm finding myself, I have to answer, well, I don't know why I didn't do it. So this is why it's important to remain coachable. But while being coachable, even when I'm asked penetrating questions, I always go back to, what do you think? You know, I think this is the best way, but this is what I'm thinking. But am I getting in the way? Like, what do you think I should do? And to that level of submission is to that level of greatness. And to me, it's like, Nikki, this is why I commend you, and the results that you're getting is because of the work that you put in. It's because of the constant questions, the constant, what about this? The constant, I tell you to go get a book, you go get it. I tell you, do this. There's no question as to why. The only thing is, okay, when? So when do I start? Okay, so I'm doing this, and then what about that? And the hunger that you have, it speaks to the results that you're receiving. And I love that about you, Nikki. And to be honest with you, that, you know, that's a lot of why I am the way I am. That's a lot of why I submit the way I submit, because I understand the power in that, especially when you submit yourself to the process. And it's not just the process, it's submitting yourself to somebody that you really trust, right? So no one's telling you to do something crazy. We're just telling you do this because our coaches know a little bit more than us in that area. And that's what's important, to really just run with it. Daphne, Daphne, I read Siobhan. Coach Misty Angelique Smith is okay. All right, fine.
It's authentic herself.
All right. I mean, I'll take it, but at this point, I want to be as much as I'm doing for myself, and that's to the magnitude I want to be able to give back. So what else?
So you would say you're 100% coachable, and as far as pushback, you give none.
I'm 1,000% coachable, absolutely.
And you don't give any pushback?
Never.
But you do question things if you need to.
I was just about to say, I don't want to say never, because never is a definitive. So I don't want to say that, because I could be wrong somewhere down the line. Okay. Because my coaches may say something different. However, I can tell you, even with questioning, there's still an act of submitting with questioning. So if I question, it's only because I want to know more. Okay. I'm not questioning because I don't believe it or I'm not trusting the process. I question it because I want to be able to see it. And sometimes, honestly, it's not even about what I want to see. Sometimes it is just about doing. But the whole point is, my heart and my intention is to be and remain coachable. Hands down, for sure. No doubt. So hats off to you. Even though you drilling me and questioning me, like I want you to know that that's the important part of success. It's really, it really, really is. We can't sugarcoat this. You know what I mean? And, there comes a point in time where our atmosphere, what we do, what we represent is all connected with who we surround ourselves with, what we keep first, what's priority, what's not. And to me, it's a lifestyle of living that every single day, every day. That's my drive.
I just really wanted them to see that, because they see us all the time in the group. Like, you're our leader. We look up to you. We're constantly learning from you, but you have that line, like that chain of commands above you, that you have to follow, and you listen to the T. And I can't stress that enough, y'all, how important that is, doing it to the T, not doing half of it and getting half of the results. When I tell y'all I want my face to look like Misty's, so I have to do boom, boom, boom. If she's doing, I always tell her, if she's here, I'm right here.
Hey, you don't want to look like me right now, not with these.
I'm right here. No, I need to, because we trying to get to the other side. So if Misty's here, I'm smack here. If this is too much of a gap for me, it's like this. Okay, like
But
Period.
but Nikki, what you don't realize is that if you look at your before picture and where you started, that's why when we popped on, I'm like, girl, your face, like the slender,
Yes.
the everything that you're doing, it's speaking to your results. So whether or not it took a while. So right now I'm never discouraged with my skin breakouts because I know what it is. And it took a while for me to understand that. So it's going to take a little bit, for that to happen, but eventually it will catch up. It will. However, what's more important is what's going on the inside, which is the unseen, because it's only unraveling on the outside. Okay. So what's happening is you got to keep in mind, like we're going to have side effects or healing crisis, or what we talk about with the detox symptoms. We're going to have those regardless, whether you're going to heal yourself or whether you want to stay in the state of acidosis. You're going to have them. So when your body is highly acidic, you're going to have those symptoms and everything you're going through, breakouts, lethargic, fatigue. You're going to have them. Or do you choose to have it because now you just choose to do what you got to do to get right? I would rather have those symptoms knowing that I'm on the right track, getting them out, than to have them and I'm not doing nothing. So that's what I would say to keep encouraging you. Like sometimes people want, and the one thing I want to even talk about, if you're not getting results, one or two things are happening. Okay. You're doing it, but you're doing 50%, like you said, or you're not doing it at all. That's it. There's no in between. None. There's no.
Tell them, Misty. Even when you cheat, you get results. So if you're not getting results,
there's no in between in this process. And this is why, even as you can see, like even my tone when it comes to certain things, it has to change. Because if you're not getting results, y'all, the results aren't coming because something you're doing. Something you're not doing. So you can't come and say, is this or is that or is that or is this. No, I can't say this. There is a small percentage that if you're really not getting results, your lymphatic system is really, really clogged up, that there's some things that I would highly recommend to do to get some things going. But even in that, on level 1, everybody that has partaken of the program see results, literally. I had 2 new women start, and one was surprised that in 4 days, she's down 3 pounds. 4 days. Well, why? We cutting out all the junk, y'all. We cutting out all the processed stuff, number 1, and we're cutting out the horrible bad habits. Now, I say this a lot, and Nikki, you can contest to this. People that want to join that's not a part of my program, you can still join. I have a whole initial I shouldn't say join. You can start. I have a whole protocol, an initial protocol document, and it's breaking down the whole process. It's the whole process. The difference between doing it on your own and joining the group is that you just have people around you to help support you. But even in that, unfortunately, that still happens with people in the group where people just don't take advantage of it. It's human nature. So when you don't apply the things, which is why I deal a lot with mindset, which is why I deal a lot with giving out these daily assignments, doing the work, because it's only the work that you do that's going to yield the result. It is not just about just stopping eating habits. It's digging deep as to why is this a pattern? Like before me and Nikki hopped on here, I told her what's non-negotiable. I've been on water all day with lemons. Water break, by the way.
Only water and lemons, y'all. No nothing. No fruit, no food.
Nothing.
Water and lemon.
Nothing. And
Misty, tell them why you're doing that.
So I'm doing it because, 2 things. Technically, my 28th day is supposed to end at the end of this week. And I didn't want to stop because of the results that I'm yielding so far. I feel like my body is still working and I don't want to stop the process prematurely this time. And so what I did was I like to be guided. And I talked a lot about being guided from our higher self, spiritually speaking. Primo, you can't do that, honey buns. And I in order to do that, it takes a level of sacrifice. And in order to do that, this is what, the believing, circle calls fasting, a spiritual fast, a fast of rest of different things and food, and for the sake of, edification and just becoming stronger spiritually to sharpen your axe. And I wanted this because I wanted to be guided. I wanted to make sure that this time around, I wanted to just really prune at a whole different level. And this is one that I didn't do this time. So every time I go through a cleanse, I just do things a little different for a deeper cleansing. And this is not just physically speaking. I'm talking about deeper, just a whole in every area of my life. So being guided, it's not something that, I took my natural mind out of trying to figure out the process. I felt led to do so. And I'm like, okay, this is it. And I love challenges. I
was going to say that.
Because the challenge is, if I'm not doing and suffering enough to really get to what I'm trying to get. Now, I don't mean suffering to the point where we're just being unwise in what to do. I'm talking about, no, it's easy for me to go get a fruit because I want to eat right now. That's easy. It's easy for me to take a bite of my son's pizza sitting at the table because that's what I want. But I didn't at this point want to, I didn't want to end this time of cleansing different. I wanted this time of cleansing to be something like, you did that, not just on a physical level, because girlfriend, that's going to come. Okay. That's what I know.
It's there.
I'm still working. I'm telling you, because I got goals I want to reach, but I wanted to have another level of clarity, another level of certainty, another level of not just non-negotiable things, areas that's cloudy in my life that I still need direction. I wanted that. In order to do that, I wanted to cut away the norm, because sometimes people even make juicing or whatever new thing you got going on, they make that a religion, right? The same way it's a movement. Like people think you go from one era of eating and then you go to veganism, right? But veganism is a movement, right? And because I don't eat animal products, I'm not like, yeah, I'm vegan. I just eat clean, okay? But it's a movement. And if you really dig deep and understand the systems that's against us, even the food industry on vegan food, come on, y'all. It's a movement. It's literally a movement. And what I don't want to do is get involved in something and it's the next best thing. Look what I'm doing. And then what happens? It fizzles on out. And then we wait for the next best thing and it fizzles on out. I don't want that. I want to be firm in what I know I'm supposed to do. So this is why I wanted to end this time, Nikki, and even invited you guys and those in the community. Let's go a little deeper. You want to do something different? You want different results? Let's go. Like, come on, let's do it. All right, hold on. I got a couple comments coming up. Well deserved, Misty. Thank you, Siobhan. I love you. I'm gonna do better, Coach. Yes, Dad. That's what I'm talking about. Is good stuff. So this is so good. I had to show my personal page. Perfect. Thank you so much. This
and Misty, go ahead.
Lifestyle takes sacrifice and dedication. It can be done. You have to be dedicated to the change and be ready for it. 1000%. But you know something else I appreciate that, Siobhan, is that there are individuals, and I love that. And I can't even count how many at this point, but they say it's mental for me. As soon as they say that, I say, I'm so happy that you're recognizing that. And I would rather you prepare yourself because it is mental. But back to what I was telling Nikki, to Siobhan's point, I told her, I'm like, look, I don't care how bad I want something at this point. It's non-negotiable for me. It's after 8 o'clock. Like, that's it. Like, now I'm entering to straight up giving my body a rest. I don't care what struggles I had today. There's nothing in this non-negotiable. So this right here, although we're talking about, I think, Nikki, go ahead to that last point because we're going to close out with this point I was about to say. But go ahead to what you was about to bring up.
No, I was just adding on to what you said about, because remember when we were talking earlier and I was telling you about the different recipes I wanted to try, and you said that you need to focus on cleansing versus juicing for comfort versus healing. So, because remember I was telling you I wanted to make that pina colada looking one.
Yes, Nikki. Okay, good. So basically what I was saying in that analogy is we always try to find things to find comfort. Okay. And now we switched into this, like, juicing is a lifestyle, right? So juicing is a lifestyle. And that means within that lifestyle, we fast 4 times a year. But while we fast, we still try to make juicing comfortable. So we want to find the fruits or the juices that taste good. And Nikki and I can contest to this right here. Like, she moved to greens. I didn't challenge. I just told the group what I was doing. And Nikki was like, I'm doing it. I'm like, okay.
Without the apple.
So, yeah. So she now doing the green pillar drink, which is the celery, the cucumber, kale, spinach, ginger, and lemon. Green apples in there too,
That's
but
it.
yeah, she said, no, I don't want none. I'm doing green. I said, okay, bet, let's do it. But my point is, when you do that to your body, so juicing is wonderful no matter what you juice, but we can still use juicing as comfort food. So now I'm going from greens. Greens are not my favorite drink, y'all. It's not. It is not my favorite drink, but the benefits that it yields to the body, I will take greens and pounds of it, because when I have those 16 ounces a day of just greens, like I wouldn't even be able to eat that many greens in a day. And so going from that to running to get some fruit juices, that's pleasure to me. Like I could do that like easy. That's not something where it's challenging me. So this is why I said, when Nikki was asking me about the pina colada, the juices and all that, I'm like, no, because what we're trying to do is comfort ourselves. And that's what we're doing. And so now, like, we want to focus on the juices that's still going to help cleanse, not the juices that's going to help give us pleasure. So thank you. I forgot about that, Nikki, but that's a real important point. Hey, Deontay, hey. How are you? I know, right? So Siobhan said, it took me a minute to realize that it is indeed mental, but I'm here for it. Thanks for you and Nikki for tonight's interview. Nikki is an awesome motivator as well. Love y'all. Oh,
thank you, Siobhan. Misty, but real quick, I wanted you to tell them, like, for you, like, what are your negotiables as far as like not eating meat, eating past 7, and why do you stick to those things? Why are those important? And then I also wanted you to break down versus, because remember earlier we were talking about you're not always motivated, but it's that consistency that gets you going. Because I know you guys, Misty, if you know Misty, you guys know, like, she tells herself no a million times a day. Like, don't just think she's just sitting here drinking her juice and not hungry before 7 o'clock. It's a constant battle.
No. So to your first question, which was, how did I cut out? What was the first question?
What are your non-negotiables?
Yeah, my non-negotiables are, and here's why they're non-negotiables for me. Okay, when I really got ill in 2016, went to heal myself, tried to do it natural, followed the pharmaceutical world, followed what they wanted me to follow with the traditional diet, the Candida diet, the low sugar, low carb, paleo. I did all that. And I felt like even outwardly, I achieved great results. But inwardly, I was still feeling like I feel off. Like, what is up? Like, it was a struggle just to do basic stuff. It wasn't until when I had found out I had parasites that I looked into parasitic behavior and what parasites feeds off of in the body. Did you hear me? What parasites literally live off of in us. And yes, animal products are one of them. Okay.
And what is the percentage of people that have parasites?
95. Listen, 95.
Everybody got it.
Man, parasites, I'm telling you. And so this is why it is so important for me, like non-negotiables are. And look, that doesn't mean food, barbecue still don't smell good. That doesn't mean when I look at meat or, dairy, it's not appeasing to the eye. Y'all, it really is. It is, to be honest with you. But what's greater is I look at it and I say, look, what I think about what that did to my body. And I had that. Even when I went keto, high protein, and I had it but I cut all the sugar out, man, I felt like I was living in hell. It was awful. I just didn't feel like myself. My hormones were off. I was moody, irritable, breaking out still. It was just bad. So my non-negotiables, without a shadow of a doubt, no animal products for me, none. I really, really love this new lifestyle of plant-based eating. And I go from cooked plant-based to cooked vegan to raw, eating clean, and all of those are good. I flirt back and forth with them. Even because I have some digestive issues, even sometimes eating processed stuff caused me to bloat. Like I'm like 4 or 5 months pregnant because noodles, even though it's gluten-free, is still processed. So the closer you can get to eating whole, clean foods, the majority of the time, it's just better. And for me, I'm a living witness to that. My other non-negotiable is, it's so important for the body to rest, especially during the healing process or even transitioning out of my program, because when you rest, and that's what they call intermittent fasting, you are really just like when you're giving your digestive system a rest, when you're juicing, you're giving your whole system a rest, when you just stop eating for a minute, just stop eating. Our digestive process literally takes up the majority of our energy. So if we can just stop eating so we can have that energy to heal, then we'll get the results we're looking for. So the non-negotiables are animal products, and then I don't eat late at night because when I wake up, it's just an awful bloated kind of feeling. Even if it's good food, I just don't eat late.
And non-negotiables mean never happening. That's not part of your 20%. That's what you won't do on any given day at any time. It's just not happening.
Not animal products, that is for sure. But there are times where we may go out later, and then I may eat later. But again, because that's not a normal thing, that doesn't impact.
But really, animal products, is that just not going to happen? Non-negotiable for you?
That's non-negotiable. It's not going to happen, and I'm firm on that. That will not happen.
And then how long has it been since you stopped eating animal products?
It just a little over 2 years now. Yep, a little over 2 years.
And what do you have to say to all those people saying you don't get enough protein?
Oh, that's not true. Okay, because I'm still doing everything else without it. But you do get protein through amino acids, through fruits and vegetables and all of that. And again, all this stuff is what I, kind of, build out and try to educate as much as possible. Which you reminded me, Nikki, I do have to post more information in the group. I've been steady, slowly, because information, sometimes I want to keep it simple. Like I tell you guys to juice, but I still want to keep it simple when it comes to information, because we're talking now years of me doing what I'm doing, but it takes a little bit for people to transform just in the basic stuff that we're talking about, right? And so now when we really understand the power of eating clean and what not to do and what not to put in your body and or the adverse effect, like a lot of things that our body, our organs are tripping. They're really like having a hard time processing the things that we think that we need. We've been sold a lie. Like the reality is a lot of us are in the matrix, okay? And we've been inundated with a lot of stuff with all entities, the education arena, the financial arena, not healthcare, sick care. I mean, it's all, when you really take a step back to really look at things, you really look at things like, oh my goodness, this whole time I thought this. When you juice has a way of awakening you. And I'm not necessarily saying because you still should incorporate a juice a day. I'm talking about straight juice cleansing. You are awakened to the point where somebody try to tell you this is black. You're like, this is aqua. Okay. And that now you're able to see everything you've been taught from the food industry, from the financial industry. And you almost like you will be like, oh yeah, we've been bamboozled for real. Like for real. So those are my non-negotiables. And then the last thing you were talking about with consistency. I just talk to myself. I really talk to myself a lot. It's a biblical principle in that, encouraging yourself, and just throughout the day, even today, like going through this process of this last phase, the energy is low, everything I'm feeling, but I literally put my mind in the right space. I knew I wasn't eating, but I wasn't going to let that defeat me today, or even having juices. I knew I had to accomplish stuff. So I'm going throughout the house and picking up the Coles basket. I'm like, Missy, I'm so proud of you. You're doing housework and you're doing work at the same time. And then times I want to eat, I'm like, you ain't having no, you're not doing it. And so I talk to myself like, honest to goodness, like I would talk to you guys like, don't come with me. Don't do that. Don't come with me with that. Like either we're going to do it or we not. And those are the conversations I really have to myself. And then at the end of the day, I lay down like, I did it. Like it's the best feeling. It's because nothing can hold you captive when you're free mentally. Nothing.
Misty, and you always say that. You always say the next morning, I was struggling last night, but y'all, I feel great this morning. And to get past that moment to the next day, like that's amazing. And I also wanted to say, like, you just got all these stuff going in my brain now. But for me, like I told Misty about a week ago, like I'm over like the weight loss part of this. Like I want to feel every other thing that has to be with this juicing lifestyle and the clarity and I want to experience everything. So like I used to weigh myself twice a week when I first started because I was just so almost amused. Like I'm really losing all this weight I got almost obsessed with, let me weigh myself. Now I know I'm consistent. So I know I'm going to lose weight. I'm just ready for that next level of healing. And that's why I just got to give Misty her, she's the most disciplined person I know, hands down. And how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you're disciplined like this right now, you're disciplined like that in your whole life. Like you're just like the perfect and best example. And even in the group, y'all, let me tell y'all, Misty's tone changed with us a lot. Because in the beginning, she was like weaning us in, but now it's like, no, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing.
But the reality is this is what, and I know those that are on live, like they look at some point, if If you want to be pacified, okay, if you want to follow things and traditions that you've been following and you ain't been getting results, stay over there and just keep doing it, right? I'm saying right here, let's just go with it. Like when you were talking, Nikki, you had me think, like, I know you're saying you want to see results. You have no idea the results that you yield already, how powerful that is. The fact that you were never, ever, ever able to get out of the 180s you mentioned, or 190s, whatever it is. And now you're slowly, it's not even slowly, you're all, by the time we're done with this, I don't even know where you're going to be. I mean, if you
I'm
already,
telling you.
thank you for those that are joining live and didn't catch the beginning, went from 207 starting to now being 174 when she weighed in. And
I'm just getting started.
And right. And so now it's like, now this is to the point where when you open yourself up to what live living foods can do for you, this is the point where you have to realize this is it right here. Like for me, this is my it factor. This is not something that just came with the wind and it's going to blow with the next wind. Heck, you know. This is my it factor. And when I tell you, when it's so much spirituality in this, when it comes to eating live foods, and then how things started from the beginning of time to where we have been, where we are now, how Americanized we are, how what we're looking at right now, even with these stats were alarming to me. And I was doing another stat research, and you wouldn't believe 85% of women that are overweight, over those that are 85% are overweight, over 60% of them are literally clinically obese. And another 55% of those women suffer so many different ailments, and some of them are undiagnosed pre-existing conditions. But I guarantee you this, it's all rooted in cleansing. That's it. No disease, dis-ease is what I like to say, dis-ease can reside in the body when you cleanse yourself. None. We get to the point where we're acidic, and now we're acid. Now we have all the muscle aches, these autoimmune, everything that's been headed and speared from the medical arena. But I'm not getting into that here, because remember, I don't do that on social media because they got their certain way and views of that. I just want people to know how important it is when you eat to live. And literally, when you live in, you will live, not just physically, you will live emotionally, you will live mentally. Certain things don't get me. Most things don't get me off kilter these days, because it's just, I have no point in time to talk about things that my energy is going to be kiltered or off centered because of foolishness. It's just,
but you also aren't engaging yourself in stuff that don't serve you either. So that's why you're probably not being bothered, because you're not anywhere where it's not making sense. Like you're not having, you say that all the time, you're not having unnecessary conversations. You're not talking about things that don't matter. You're not around people who are not on your journey. So
no. I read a text. I'm sorry, not read. I text my family. And what was this weekend, I think? I'm not about to go look for it, but I text all of them and I told them, I am in my last phase of healing. And they know what healing means to me, right? Healing means, Mom, what's for dinner? What we doing? What we eating? Because at this point, like, the same way I have my quiet time and that reverence time, that's like my whole purification process, meditation, prayer, and they respect that. Like, I also want to let them know that I respect them too, because we're all adults in the home, right? And so my space, my time, my energy when it comes to healing, if I'm putting energy somewhere else, I'm not eating. So whatever you guys decide to eat for dinner, you guys are all adults. You guys talk about it and you work it out, right? And so at that point, I text them just to let them know, and I give them heads up just so they know, hey, y'all, I'm on my last phase of healing. Let's do what we have to do to make sure we're protecting our atmosphere, our home, our sanctuary, and let's do what we got to do. And that's important. It's important because when you're healing, I don't want extra stress in my body for stuff. I don't want, and we're dealing with adult children, right? So adult children, it's nothing that's far-fetched. I'm just talking, I don't like the tone raised, and sometimes they play video games and they allow, and sometimes it just startles me. I'm like, I don't want that extra rising up in my body, right? So that's all I'm saying. Like, the atmosphere is very important when it comes to healing. Okay, so Mr. Sweetheart, until you're not doing what you're supposed to do. Accountability. Siobhan. Yes. Well, thank you, Siobhan. This lifestyle makes me protect my peace. Oh my gosh, that is so true.
Misty, and tell them about how hard is it, or how did you transition from, being like not the only one in your household, but how do you separate you doing your thing from everyone else doing their thing? Because I know that can almost be an excuse for you just not to go on this journey solo. But it needs to be a solo journey. Everyone else will catch on later if they want. If they don't, that's fine. But how important is it for you to stay on track around people?
Well, at first, I have to tell you, as a mom, it was hard. Like, I felt almost guilty that I didn't have this level of knowledge when they were younger. Honestly, I did. I had to work through that, and I even asked them. I apologized to them for not knowing. I wish I would have did things different, bought different snacks and more healthy whole foods. But once I got through that phase, it was more so I wanted them involved and I wanted them to be a part of the process. But it wasn't like I wanted them to do a whole bunch of juicing and all that. My job as the mother and woman of this home was provide them what they need. And I made it known I'm not buying certain things. If I'm at the store, like, they know I don't buy animal products, I'm not doing it. They need me to pick stuff up, like certain things. Like, we transition completely out of milk. We don't drink regular milk in this house. We drink plant-based milk. They do vegan butter now. You know, not saying that's the best, but I would rather that than what they were eating. And so it was been a slowly but surely transition. And now we're at a point, I started juicing for them, but this last time around, I said, listen, I'm cool with y'all drinking juices, but two things has to happen. If you take a drink and you're leaving for drink, especially my daughters, like sometimes they'll grab a drink, and I say, I'm cool with that, but just let me know, number one. And then number two, when you're behind, get back here, you go get another watermelon or pineapple out the garage and you juice that, because we all gonna be juicing together. So now I just kind of implement them like this is just a way of living now. And now they know, like, when I have juices, they can have it. It's just I don't like to be caught without any juices at all. And then how I put boundaries around is I literally take it to the point where my mind is made up on certain things. So if they have things, I have alternatives. When we go out, I look at the menu. When we go, to wherever we're going, I make sure that every place got salad, every place got fresh food. I just non-negotiables are, again, I mentioned I don't eat animal products. So when my mind is fixated on the goal, it's kind of easy to stick to it at this point. And then,
but was there a time where you were the only one in your house doing like this, but like you were by yourself, or everyone kind of transitioned?
What you mean?
You were by yourself doing this, like
the
literally.
whole time. The first 3 times of healing, like, I was literally by myself. Like, you got to understand too, like, I was learning, I was going through, I was healing. I had tons of die-off symptoms, no weakness. I couldn't even talk, lots of irritability. Like, it was just by myself. And sometimes the best thing to do during that point is to be by yourself. Like, you really can't get, nobody can really understand what you're going through, because the more you talk about what you're going through, I'm never that person to wallow in pain or suffering, right? I would rather not say anything and don't talk, like, don't talk at all, before I sit and talk about issues. Or y'all know I'm tired, I'm sick, I don't got
What
time.
do you always tell us when we tell you about our symptoms? What do you say?
Hey, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. Like when y'all experiencing things and headache and fatigue and just tired, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but I'm not. Like, your body is doing what it's supposed to do. And I talked about that on my live this morning. Like, when people go through what I've been through and my face, breaking out, and that's just one of my symptoms. I have one of 5, but everybody have different symptoms. Like, this is not the time to stop. Don't stop. It's really time to keep going, because your body is doing naturally what it's supposed to do. So yeah, it's straight up sorry, not sorry. So I have one more question for you, and then we're going to end this because we got to hop over to Instagram. But tell them about your monthly female cycles. Like,
okay, so when I started this journey, y'all, okay, so I'm someone that have very cramped very bad, very, very, very bad. And when I started this journey with Misty, she was like, absolutely no medication. I was like, huh? No medication. I'm like, huh? And she said it.
I did say you
did say herbs. Okay. But you recommended that later. So that initial me coming off, it was just me and the cramps. And I'm not gonna lie, the first time I took it, it was terrible. My stomach was hurting, I threw up. But even after all of that, this is the thing, guys, with a change, just deciding. I told myself, okay, I'm going to follow it to the T. I'm here because I want to learn. So that's another reason why I get the results I get. I do exactly what she says. I don't deviate from it. I don't give myself, when she allows us to cheat, I don't do it because I know that I'm not healed yet, and it just goes back into that cycle. But going back to the cramps, I stopped taking the medicine, and it took about 3 months. But last month when I had my period, it was the lightest it's ever been and the less painful that it's ever been. And there's a lot of juice girls. Misty sent me Jordan Sparks, actually. She has 0 cramps. So I'm looking forward to just getting to that level where I don't feel nothing at all. But I got my period the other day and I was like, Misty, I don't feel anything. It just came. And she was like, yes, so it's a thing.
So that's
and this is from not taking medicine. I'm someone that took medicine for the pain, but that just made me more painful.
And I would love to I'm not going to break it down here on social media. I'm not doing it because it could be controversial and I don't want to get blocked or them take this video down. But when we go through things from a female hormonal perspective or reproductive, it really shows the condition of our body. And I've been talking a lot, with my daughters about it. And this is why I have them heavy on herbs and things of that nature. But your body, whenever it's giving off symptoms, there's reasons for it. So last thing regarding the medication, though, the reason why I encourage everyone who's cleansing, now that I'm not talking about prescription medication, because obviously you still have to, again, this is not to treat, cure, or diagnose any pre-existing conditions. This is all education and informing purposes. Even though I'm not saying too much, I still got to say that right now here. But with medication, it's so serious because when you detox, the reason why I say stop the ones that you can, your body is releasing toxins. Okay. Quincy told me, and I didn't know this early on in my healing years, whether we're sleeping or in the bed, he told me there's a strong odor of metal that's coming from my body. It's metal. And he told me again when he said the other day, Misty, I've never seen your face like this. He told me again that I can tell you're cleansing because that smell, like that metal smell, is back. He said it's not as strong as it was in times past, but it's that same smell. And that to me is like, yes, because medication and everything that's in our body, I'm talking years. When you're talking about cell regeneration and everything within your body, when you're cleansing and how our cells regenerate, I'm telling you, you're literally pushing all that old medication and stuff that's in your body that's been locked up in your cells, cellular memory and all of that, epigenetics. I'm telling you, it's real. And when that's locked into your body, when you put yourself in a place of pruning, fasting, and really cleansing yourself, that's when you know you're reaching different heights. That's why I'm not stopping. So for those of you all that, are looking to cleanse and or are cleansing, I'm telling you, keep going to the point of discomfort, because it's that level of discomfort is going to be your greatest success on the other side. So Nikki, we got to get over here. We've been
one more thing though. I thought that I had allergies. I took an allergy pill. I think it was Allegra. I took an Allegra pill every day, especially during the so-called allergy season. I can't remember the last time. I can't remember the last time I had allergies. So I don't know if I diagnosed myself. I really don't even remember who told me that or why I thought that I had all these allergies. But ever since I've been juicing, I don't have no allergies. So
that's great.
But Misty, before we end this, what can you tell them who don't have a juicer but want to start, if they wanted to start implementing everything we are talking about tomorrow, if they had a blender just as far as eating fruit, how could they start tomorrow if they wanted to start?
So if they want, that's a good question, Nikki. Okay, good. You are. Who said you're doing good? I think it was you're doing good. So I would recommend reaching out, and I can give you my initial protocol document. In that document, even if you do not have a juicer, in that protocol document, here's what I would highly recommend. Start that as soon as possible. That's basically, I break down my whole program in that initial document. So if you want to get started right now and you don't have a juicer, it tells you what to do, what juices to start eating, what you can start doing, and start having a smoothie. And then eventually everybody wants and should have a juicer in your home, hands down. You will not be able to consume as much fruits and vegetables as you are when you juice them. So as far as what juicer, I highly recommend a slow press, cold press juicer. It yields the most. It keeps the nutrition intact. It doesn't heat up with the blades. As I went over, if you missed the beginning part, go back, because I talked about the citrifrugal juicer versus the slow press juicer that has an auger. So go back and watch it. I highly recommend getting a juicer. Highly recommend. And the next question was what? That was it, right? What to do? How to
Yeah,
get
that
started?
was just if they want to start tomorrow, they can make a smoothie.
I have a couple more comments. Siobhan said facts. Nikki, you said something. She said facts. So sorry we missed that. And then join the community and get all the deeds and education. So well worth it. Thank you. I appreciate
Misty, tell them if they wanted to join your community, when is the next available time they can join you? How do they get into what you're doing?
Every Monday is a new session that starts. So we start a new round. So every Monday in the community, you get started. So basically you would just hop on with us live on Saturday. We have a weekly touch base Saturday at 8 a.m. Saturday during that time is all about you questions. That's when you got me one-on-one live. We talk about things, we break it down. And then from there, when you join, you actually receive the initial protocol that's released in the app. And then you also receive the ebook, the manual that's released in the app, just to get acclimated with juicing fundamentals, the difference between juicing and blending, what juicing does to the body, different juicing recipes within the manual. And then that gives you time Saturday and Sunday to prepare, go get your fruits. And then on Monday is the time where you start. And that first lesson, it's not just juicing, remember, you get that first lesson released inside the app under the membership portal area. And then that's when you also deal with other things on a daily basis that may arise. When you cleanse, it could be an emotional thing. You're really dealing with stuff physically, tips on juicing. It's just a whole bunch of different stuff throughout the whole 28-day. But that's how you would get started. So hit me up. If you don't want to join the community, that's cool. I still got the free initial protocol document. You can just run with it. You have all the information there.
And she has a juicer too, y'all. So if y'all need that cold press juicer, hit her up for that as well.
Definitely.
I use mine all the time.
You can go check the juicer out on the site. It's a temporary site right now, which is abjuicer.com, abjuicer.com. And again, the juicer is there, and you'll hear at the beginning of this, if you missed it, why I even started a juicer. And it just happened because I was trying to refer people. And then at that point, I just said, well, why not just manufacture my own? And that's how that happened. So anyway, enough about that. It's more about you. It's more about your healing. It's more about you cleansing. And that's what I care about most. You know why? You already know, Nikki. What's the 4 words? I am
free.
That's what I'm talking about. The 4-letter word, man. When you free, I'm telling you, you want everybody to experience it, because you just look at life so different. And then I look at, if I can do this and I can do that, what more can I do? What could you do? What could she do? It's just a liberating feeling. But anyway, we're off of here now. We got to hop over to Instagram. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Come back and watch the replay. Please let me know if you have questions. Hit me up. If not, bye for now. All right, Nikki, I'll hit you.